Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. This is a support group requested video in which the survivor asked me about how do they go about meeting new people after narcissistic abuse. All right, this is a very good question because narcissistic abuse is a trauma, and traumas are typically life changing, meaning they affect our lives on so many levels, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, and it changes our DNA forever. We just don't forget these things, all right? But I don't want it to change you in the worst way. So that's why I want to make this video about meeting new people after narcissistic abuse, because some things are very important before you even get to meeting new people. And I want you guys to actually break the cycle, okay, and not end up with another narcissist. So it's very important before you even embark on that to make sure that you're doing the work and healing from the prior trauma and abuse that you experienced, okay? Because I don't want you taking that baggage with you into your next relationship like the narcissist does, because they are purposefully not wanting to heal themselves. They just want to escape. They just want more supply. They just want distractions. They just want revenge. This is how they're leading their life, okay? And they're still taking all their bitterness, all their hurt, all their hatred with them to the next person, okay? They try to pretend like it's not there by love bombing them, but as we all know, it eventually comes to the surface during the devalue and then the discard, and then the cycle repeating itself over and over because they never did the shadow work, all right? So first of all, before you go out and invite another person into your life, or get back on that wavelength again, make sure that you have adequately done the work in your healing process so that you can attract healthy people into your life and build a healthy relationship, okay? And that you are mentally able to receive a healthy person as well. This is so important. All right, I'm going to give you a little checklist right now of things to consider and make sure that you're working on with yourself before you invite new people or embark on romantic relationships again, okay? And this is my advice, all right, as someone who's been there and done that. And we can pause for a second and I'll say, you know what? After my last narcissistic relationship, I ended up taking 18 months off the grid. Okay, 18 months of me working on myself, doing the shadow work, going through the grieving process, healing from my traumas. 18 months, guys. It took me that long to even want to get back out there because I went through a whole bunch of different phases, and these are phases that survivors can go through where they just find yourself being distrusting of human beings, period. And me, I was like disgusted with men. Like I went through a lot, guys, and I wanted to be sincere and I wanted things to be right for me. So I certainly didn't force the issue of starting that next relationship until I really felt the desire there to do it. And then I remember one day I was doing some work because I got, so self-focused and I got into my passions and I started doing that. And then one day I just sincerely was like, I wish, I miss going to happy hour, or I miss socializing, or you know what, I wouldn't mind, going out on a date. Like those feelings started coming back to me again. So I allowed myself to have my own natural time frame. And this is going to be different for everybody. It might not be 18 months for you. It could be 2 years. It could be just 1 year. It could be 9 months. I really don't know. But listen to yourself and have that self-awareness. But yeah, once I sincerely felt that, I opened my energy up to welcome it. But in beforehand, I really followed myself and I gave myself all the time that I needed. I was very gentle and patient with myself and giving myself the time to get through the healing process. And, I wasn't just sitting around moping and crying for 18 months. Absolutely not. In the beginning, I was, of course, but that's good. You want to release those emotions and get those tears out of you. and not suppress those feelings. Because eventually I did become all cried out. And that's a good feeling. I got it all out of me. All right. And I allowed myself to go through that process. I also um, incorporated therapy during the time. I had two therapists that I went to. And, that was very helpful and took my healing to another journey as well. So I just did all type of self-reflection and self-work. All right. I reevaluated my boundaries. I reevaluated my self-esteem. I reevaluated how I went about starting relationships, which is extremely important. I reevaluated my expectations that I had of other people, external from myself. That's very important. Um, I, I reevaluated any bitterness that I perceived to have. Um, I reevaluated any paranoia or hypervigilance, anxieties, worries, and fears. So, I really got recentered spiritually. And, I de-stressed my life. Like, I just did a lot of healthy things, got back into exercising, like, just really wanting to be healthy inward and then out. So, these are all the things. I really dissected my experiences. I really wanted to take the lessons this time. I really had reached a fed up point. So, I really allowed myself to meticulously this time, because I said, this is it. This is the last time. I don't ever want to be in this situation again, because I had perpetually dated narc after narc after narc after narc. Then I realized some in my family. Like, I really got to the bottom of it. I went into the roots of the situation, and it extended way deeper than the people that I were dating. They were just symptoms of some inner childhood wounds that I needed to heal and other things going on. So I really allowed myself to connect the dots so that I could really end that cycle. And I ended up eventually attracting the love of my life. And the relationship is extremely healthy, and everything that I want is just amazing. Like, once I really showed the universe that I could handle it, that I was ready for it, they sent me that person. They really sent me that person. So I feel like this happens to everybody, but you have to show the universe that you are actually ready and do that work. All right. So, a lot of pitfalls. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls that people fall into after narcissistic abuse. All right, I want to really focus on perception. So, obviously, not doing the work is going to be a pitfall. If you haven't really sincerely done the work, and some of you may not really understand the work that needs to be done, and that's why I just mentioned all those topics that you should be considering within yourself, okay? Because doing the same things and expecting a different outcome, that is called insanity. So you really want to work on your perceptions, because a lot of pitfalls is becoming pessimistic as well. And that is a phase in the healing process that you may go through, where you just see things so negatively and you view human beings so darkly. Everybody's not out to get you. Everybody's not a player. Everybody's not a narcissist. So, we become hyper vigilant. And this is something that really has to be worked on, because you don't want to live your life in fear anyway. But if you're doing that, how are you going to really attract what you want? Because the things that we fear is what is going to be gravitating towards us, because that's filling our mind. We're fearing it. We're constantly giving it life and thinking about it. Okay. But, this happens. Do we need to be aware of toxic people? Do we need to have our eyes clear and our ears when we're meeting people? Yes, we do. But it doesn't mean that you have to run away with yourself and just automatically peg people as this and that before you even get to know them. All right? So I always highly recommend taking your time in relationships, generally speaking. But, at the same token, I will say that when you meet the one, a lot of times it really just falls into place and the relationship may just go boom, boom, bam. It could actually be something that just has all this momentum and it just never really stops because they're the one. All right. So don't be afraid of that per se, because, in a narcissist love bomb stage, things went fast as well. But what you'll find in a healthy relationship is both of you are moving at the same pace. And if it's a fast pace for both of you, you're both really comfortable with it. You see what I'm saying? It's not like crossing your boundaries, okay? The speed will work for both of you. It won't be like the narcissist going fast and trying to invoke that in you, and you like being like, it feels good, but I really didn't want to go that fast. It won't be like that. It'll be like you guys are equally yoked, on the same page, on the same wavelength. Okay? So, I just think that in defensiveness, that's something else to address as well. Being mindful of like, oh, no one's ever going to do that to me again. So now you're just like really sharp with people, and people can feel this energy. They can, and they will feel like a bitterness or a negativity about that, because there's a way to be assertive, especially for women out there, without being aggressive. And a lot of times when we've experienced a lot of negativity in relationship, it can start making us really sharp and / bitter. Okay. And this isn't very attractive to people, to healthy people who want someone who's ready to love, which takes me to the next thing that I want to mention is having that closed heart chakra. I know I went through a phase after narcissistic abuse where my heart was actually closed. It just was not open to receiving. And that's why it took me that whole 18 months, because, that person, along with everyone else, I was dealing with all of it, not even just the last relationship. My heart chakra was closed in that way, and I just wasn't ready. So I really had to wait. And what you'll find is if your heart chakra, or basically your heart, is not open to receive the love, for fear, for paranoia that it's going to happen again, you won't be able to receive it. You'll be sabotaging basically at that point. All right. So, it's a lot that comes along with starting to meet new people after narcissistic abuse. But the best thing that you can do for yourself, as I'm saying throughout this whole video, is to work on yourself beforehand. Okay? And work on your expectations, like really dissect it. And if you're having a hard time getting all the lessons that you need, or understanding how you can stop the cycle of narcissistic abuse in your life, or constantly attracting these romantic partners, and not only attracting them, but starting the relationships and being with them, because you can attract a narcissist even if you're healthy. Okay? You can attract all kinds of people even if you're healthy. But if you're healthy, they won't be able to fester and grow and attach, and you're attaching and all this long-term relationship stuff, okay? That's not going to happen, because you're going to be on two different wavelengths. You're going to crash heads, okay? So, expectations. Let's talk about that real quick, because this is another pitfall. A lot of times survivors are codependent, and they make other people responsible for their happiness. So when you have certain, and this is an expectation, you get with someone, you latch on to them, and you guys enmesh together and become one, so to speak, right? And now you're putting these expectations on them that they're going to make you happy and fulfill these roles, but you have to make yourself happy. First and foremost, make yourself solely responsible for your happiness. Now, other people can add to it, but if my cup is already filled with my own happiness that I'm providing for myself fulfillment, that's very powerful, because then it doesn't matter who's in my life. I still have my happiness. Now you can come and add to it, because you darn sure ain't going to come and take from it, right? That's a boundary. That's an energy. That's a shield that you put around yourself. And when you trust yourself, which is another issue, you'll feel comfortable in being able to be somewhat vulnerable with someone again. And what do I mean by that? That's another issue, of course, being able to be vulnerable in a relationship after experiencing narcissistic abuse, because you feel like, you know what, I was vulnerable with that narcissist, and where did it get me? I'm never going to let anybody into my heart again. I'm never going to be vulnerable to people again. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. To get the real deal, guy, you're going to have to eventually take a risk with someone else, but it doesn't have to be a poor risk. You see what I'm saying? You can take a risk with someone, and it can be calculated. It can be as risk-free as possible, but there is always some type of risk. But if you have the proper perceptions when it comes to trust, when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to expectations, when it comes to who's in charge of your happiness, if you have all this in alignment, the risk becomes a lot smaller, because then you're trusting the universe. Like, wow, I met this person. We're having a great time with each other. You know, I love this feeling. I want to see where this is going. And you allow yourself to go through that process, knowing that it's possibility that, you know what, I might go on this journey and they may not be the one. Okay, I'm okay with releasing that, because I know something else is better for me. You know, this is, you know, having that faith and having that trust in the universe, and being okay with endings, and understanding what dating is to begin with. You know, there's a lot of fish in the sea, and usually we're throwing a lot of them back before we get the one we're going to keep, all right? So, you know, of course, you're going into every situation with the best intentions, but having those realistic expectations to know that everybody ain't for everybody. And, you know, every relationship I embark in is not going to be the one. I'm trying to find out. I hope so, but it may not be, and I'm okay with that, okay? So be okay with endings, because a lot of times we were fighting that ending with a narcissist, and it caused more offenses. Holding on to something that is not good for us costs more offenses, okay? If something is burning my hand, I'm going to let it go. Am I going to keep letting the burn turn from a first degree to a second degree to a third degree? How much more painful, how much more rehabilitation, how much more healing am I going to need? And I just let that fire go. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times we resist against endings. So, you know, going about meeting new people needs to be, we have to be renewed, okay? So many things about us need to be checked and determined to make sure that we're going about things in a healthy manner. All right. And I don't want you guys falling into these pitfalls, you know, of not trusting yourself. You know, be in tune with your inner voice and your discernment, so that you can pick up and receive these clues and these signals that the universe is sending you, and you can make those decisions, because you are utilizing your logic and not just being stuck in your emotions. When you're meeting someone and getting to know someone, you need to be using your logic, because you need to be processing what you're learning about this person. You can't just run away with your emotions. And I think, you know, this happened a lot of times with the narcissist. A lot of us were just yearning for that relationship, you know, putting that on a throne, on a pedestal, and this person came and gave us that cloud nine feeling that we wanted to have, right? And then we what? Yeah, we get carried away, all right? So I hope that this is helping that survivor begin to understand how to go about meeting new people. It really starts with beforehand. This is what I want you guys to understand. Once you do that part, the meeting the new people will be the easy part, all right? So I'm going to stop this here. If this video resonates with you, go ahead and hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. I do offer coaching. Information is down and below the link. Support group down and below the link. Keep doing the work, guys, and take care until next time.